you, Debbie, for hosting this. This is really fabulous to be able to join you tonight. When you think about global competition and global positioning, and when you think about some of the experiences that Fran highlighted, I was not in the Ukraine. I was in the United Kingdom. So I went from Britain. My wife served in the Ukraine in a mission trip capacity, so that might be where that got into play. But let me tell you a little bit about us. You know a lot about Georgia Power. You know what's going on associated with us because when the storms come, you see the red triangle. But beyond the hows and the whats, you think about the hows of what we do, make, move, and sell electricity. You see that every day. And matter of fact, tonight, I looked out the window and saw the storm and said, are our lights going to stay on? Well, the hows and what we do is more important than anything else at Georgia Power. Because that how we perform and how responsive we are is the measurement that really distinguishes us from being average to being one of the best in the industry. Yeah, the lights sometimes do go out. And our reliability numbers are challenged at times, but rest assured, you're looking at Georgia Power as one of the best in the United States from a reliability standpoint. But the other aspect is when you look at our people, and you look at this table, and I know a lot of people introduced me to Debbie, Nancy Davis, saying how great she is as well, but you look at the people that we have, and the service that we perform, and that aspect of where we are relative to the community. That's what distinguishes us more than anything else, because they invest in making the communities better because we are there, and that they are trying to ensure that we're moving the ball forward in global competition, be it on a local basis or on a state basis, and even engaging on a national basis. But I am really, really proud and humbled to represent them on a daily basis. They produce over 100,000 volunteer hours a year in this state. And they give over $10 million a year to different charitable events across the state. They are the bedrock of our company, and they're the ones that we represent so proudly in everything we do. So I want to recognize y'all for what you do, and thank you for what you do. Aspect of tonight, I have a couple of topics I want to talk about. Really, one that all of us are engaged in, and that is energy policy. And energy policy is right now at the crossroads of this country, where you have policies and politics battling it out. But more than anything else, we all got to get engaged, because personally, we need to understand how energy impacts us individually at the home, but also how it impacts us from competitiveness on a business standpoint, but also from a national standpoint. When you have good energy policy, you really forge forward the opportunity for jobs. You forge forward the opportunity for growth. When you have bad energy policy or no energy policy, the question is, are we going to move forward? And that's why it's so critical that we talk about energy policy and really get engaged about where we head as a country, as a state, and on an individual basis. One of the things we look at from an electricity standpoint is, where do we need to be? What is our strategy in terms of investing for that future and ensuring that we are competitive and that you have the energy supply that you require? And when we look at it, we say we need all the arrows in the quiver. We need new nuclear. We need 21st century coal. We need natural gas. We need energy efficiency, and we need renewables. And all of those in that portfolio will provide a balance in terms of assuring that we have a competitive energy platform. Not just one segment, but all, because that's critical. When you look at each one of those segments, like new nuclear, and as you know, we're on the leading edge of the renaissance of new nuclear in this country. We're building the first 2 new nuclear units in 30 years at Plant Vogtle. Plant Vogtle is south of Augusta. It is underway. We have one of the safest designs in the country, in the world, being produced there. It has 2,200 megawatts being proposed. We have spent $3.5 billion already at the site, and we'll receive our construction and operating license at the end of the year. Why is that so important? When you look at nuclear for the future, you look at environmental policy, that is the answer. But from an incremental basis, when you think about nuclear energy, it's produced at a 1.2 or 1.9 cents per kilowatt hour basis. And you think about yourself at your home, you pay an average of 10 to 11 cents a kilowatt hour. And that mixture has to be part of the puzzle. It is absolutely one of the things that we think about every day is how safe is it going to be? And ensuring that safety is on the forefront of our minds day in, day out. Yes, Fukushima made us pause and think about, is that design safe? And how about our other nuclear plants, which we have 4 operating units in this state already. And I can tell you, the Safety Review Board at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission said it is one of the safest designs in the world today. It doesn't have to have backup generation. It is gravity-fed to ensure coolness of the reactor itself. So from that standpoint, we think about it every day that it's going to be safe for us, safe for our citizens, and it's going to be a competitive energy platform. 21st century coal. You know we're the Saudi Arabia of coal in the world. We have the largest coal reserves of any country in the globe. And that in and of itself says we've got to use that capacity for energy in the future. The question is, can we make it cleaner, safer, better as we move forward in the future? And one of the things we have to do is think about how do we capture CO2 and how do we reduce the emissions. And that's where research and development's got to play a part of moving us forward and utilizing that capacity in this country. Today, Southern Company is building a new 21st century coal plant in Mississippi using lignite, which is indigenous to the state of Mississippi. It is going to produce energy at 2.8 cents a kilowatt hour. And that is a competitive platform. It's going to capture 65% of the CO2 and inject that CO2 into a pipeline for enhanced oil recovery. It is the first of a kind globally. And matter of fact, China has come to us and said we'd like to take that technology and employ it in China to help the platform. Natural gas. Natural gas got to be part of the puzzle, but it's not the panacea of the answering everything from an energy platform in and of itself. When you think about natural gas and where the cost is today, it's absolutely competitive. But do we have the infrastructure to support the global expansion of natural gas use? We're building 2,500 megawatts right here in the perimeter. We're replacing 550 megawatts of coal at Plant McDonough, which you probably see when you go around 285, the big stack. That stack's going to come down, and you're going to have 2,500 megawatts of natural gas capacity at that site. But the issue is going to be is how we move the gas that's being produced in the non-traditional ways, the fracking gas in Marcellus Shale or Fayetteville or Haynesville. How do we get it to the sources? And the pipeline capacity is not there today. But that gets back to energy policy. So why isn't it there? And what do we do about the future of getting that capacity to the markets that need it? The other piece is energy efficiency in that puzzle. Energy efficiency of what can we do to be competitive? How can we use energy as efficiently as possible to get the output of the product in making us competitive on a global basis? Or at home, how are we using that product to ensure that we're getting the maximum value for the least cost? And I can tell you, we're all over the energy efficiency platform. We're deploying our energy auditors out into the neighborhoods, we're getting into the businesses, we're getting our energy experts to ensure that you individually are using the product effectively, but businesses are using it on a platform that said, hey, we are competitive because this is a competitive source of energy. And finally, renewables. When you think about all those areas, one of the things with renewables, you've got to put it into play. Technology is advancing. Solar technology, wind technology, biomass technology, all those platforms. But it is, right now, it is an intermediate, interruptible source of power. One of our chief environmental officers was at our plant in New Mexico. We have a 30 megawatt plant in New Mexico with, in joint venture with Ted Turner on his property. Now, if you ever think about Ted Turner, remember, he's a great speaker, but he is one that has a lot of land. It is said that you can walk from the border of Montana, Canada, all the way through New Mexico to the Mexico border and never leave his land. Think about that. So yes, absolutely, we want to be on his land. And we're building a 30 megawatt solar facility. Our chief environmental officer was standing at that site, cloud came over, and that 30 megawatts went down to 1 megawatt. So you think about that. When you want power
and the clouds come, you want power no matter what. So we are going to have backup generation to ensure you get that. So solar is not all the answer. It is a part of the puzzle. Wind in the southeast, we don't have the wind capacity except when we have hurricanes. And that's usually just a short period of time of wind. But for sustained wind, you've got to think about offshore wind. And what is the capacity for us to have offshore platforms? And what's the cost going to be? The transmission cost for us to get the wires to the platforms in and of itself costs $4 million a mile. And you've got to be 25 miles off the shore. So is that competitive? And that's the technology advances, and we've got to stay abreast of that. But when you look at the whole energy puzzle, the portfolio's got to be expansive. You never can say one fits all your needs. And R&D's got to be a part of it because you never know what's the future going to hold. What's the next greatest invention? What is the platform that's going to make us even more competitive from the energy platform? And that gets us all back to policy and politics. It is critical that we as Americans think about the direction we're headed from an energy standpoint. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It is a competitiveness issue that we have to forge forward with a comprehensive view about how energy is going to be used in this country and how in and of itself it can be used for a competitive position for all our customers and for businesses to expand and prosper in this country. That is critical. And that's a challenge that we all have as individual citizens of this country. We should demand that. This debate's been going on since Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter had the platform of the issue around the Arab oil embargo and the hyperinflation that we had and the high interest rates. And the nexus of his administration was square center on what's the energy policy for this country. But nothing was decided. And the debate has been going on for 30 plus years. And it is time to make some decisions. And we can't do it by delegating that authority to regulatory bodies to ultimately make that decision for us. It is the job of Congress to make those decisions for us all. That's something we all can have an impact on. When you look at Georgia Power, our #1 goal is to be competitive, be reliable, and be responsive to the business needs of all of you. I'm proud to represent our team. I'm proud to be able to be part of every community that we serve across this state. And one of the challenges that we have as we expand to the future is, are we going to have the workforce available and ready to fill the jobs that we need? Are we going to have the nuclear operators to be able to fill in the jobs? Are we going to have the journeyman linemen on the line out there? Are we going to have the IT technicians? Are we going to have the call center representatives? And that's the other piece of the puzzle, to ensure that we have an education platform that allows us to have a competitive workforce for the future. So with that, I want to say thank you, and thank you for hosting this. This is great to be able to be part of it. I know that when you get up as a keynote speaker, right when you're competing with food, it's a difficult position to be in. But I do appreciate this time, and thank you very much.